Hello and welcome to a bonus mini episode of Monster Mechanics. The question this week is, you are going to wake up tomorrow as a monster. What monster would you prefer it to be?
So prefer? That's an interesting way of putting it.
Well, I mean, of all of the options out there.
Of every monster out there.
I mean, I'm not going to put any restrictions on this. I guess, I don't know, like anything that like is just a human but by another name, like no good on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you gotta be a proper monster here. But it's you and you're still life, so you're still expected to like get a job. Well, I don't know, maybe you can go live in the woods if you want, but like you have to deal with the practicalities. Like you wouldn't want to be an ogre, I think, because like even if you could convince people that you're just a big human, nobody makes beds that are ogre sized.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to fit through doorways and like or get a car or anything like that. So that there's
I mean, I come from a family of tall people that are, possibly pushing on the ogre size.
Yeah. So a little bit you don't want to make that problem worse, right?
No. It's hard enough to find a pair of pants that fit.
Similarly, I don't think you'd want to go for anything like truly like animalistic. Like you wouldn't want to be a chimera or a griffin or something. I mean, as cool as flight would be, I think that's a bit hard to just work in the modern world with, right?
Yeah. That's especially like, are we assuming you maintain your intelligence, or is it just?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Freaky Friday rules, where it's like all of your memories and personality and like abilities, I guess. Like it's just all of your brain dropped into this creature.
Okay, well, I've got kind of an easy one. It's
okay,
maybe even a little bit of a cop out. Is the doppelganger?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that's too much of a cop out. Because then you could just be yourself.
Yeah.
Like
I'm just going to impersonate myself.
Yeah.
Problem solved. Or impersonate someone and move up in the world that way.
Yeah, that's totally a cop out. We can't do that. That's no good.
So it's throwing doppelganger in the trash.
I think we might have to put a general kibosh on anything that can maintain transformation all of the time. So I think that also discounts things like fairies, which can have glamour and you could just totally pass all the time. Mm-hmm. That's just too easy, right?
Sure.
That's just you, but also better.
What if you're like a mimic and you could just be a table?
Okay, so I think on that, by our own standards, that means you could never be a human. You would just be objects.
Yeah.
Well, people put so much trust into computers these days that if you just turned into a cell phone and then like told them things, they probably believe you. You could be yourself on a phone, I guess.
Just start responding to Siri and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's a hell of a modern like monster of the week story.
Yeah.
Okay. What would I pick?
Okay, so shape-shifting kind of gives you some interesting ideas that even if you can't be a humanoid creature.
Totally.
But there's got to be some other more interesting aspects you could delve into with being a monster.
For sure. You could go the route of turning into something that like would appeal to the furry crowd and just become a celebrity within that one subculture. I mean, come on. There's a lot of money to be made if you're just like a 7 foot tall minotaur, right?
And here we are today, werewolves of Instagram.
Oh my God, that would be great.
I mean, there's also, there's the vampire thing if you want to buy into the popular culture.
Yeah, I think vampire is a very good choice. Werewolf, by the same token. I mean, I think the werewolf gets around the shape-shifting thing because you can't maintain it all the time. Mm-hmm. You got the entire furry crowd and all of not all of, half of the Twilight fandom who'd be rooting for you.
There you go.
I think there's a really good case to be made for something like Ghost or like a Phantasm.
Yeah, something spectral and
where you're ephemeral and you no longer have needs or wants and you can just wander around and do whatever the fuck you want. Having no body, I would assume, means that you have no like desires anymore, and you like all of your baser this meat prison that we're both trapped in just goes away, and then we get to be a creature of intellect. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as I could have somebody hit record for me, we could still host the podcast.
Your unfinished business is this podcast.
Which, yeah, and as we know, podcasts are never finished.
They just kind of peter out and go away.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like D&D games.
Okay, I have a weird proposal for you.
Okay.
Tanuki.
You want to be a creature with giant balls?
I think it is established fact that there is no problem that a Tanuki cannot solve using his nutsack. And that is a huge amount of power. And also, they're adorable, right? Like, I mean, other than the giant nutsack, but like, other than that, they are really, really cute. And that's a lot of like charisma power to throw at people.
Sure. I mean, I guess.
I thought it was a weird...
still a little hung up on the giant nutsack thing.
From the legends, there is literally no problem that cannot be solved. Like, I think there's a legend where a Tanuki contains an entire ocean within his nutsack. That is an immense amount of power.
That is, I mean, there's also, you know, the whole like genie or djinn aspect.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
you want to be a free genie though. You don't want to be trapped. Yeah. No lamps.
If you just want to kind of go with the fuck off and just have you know, don't worry so much about your modern day necessities. There's always the dragon aspect.
Yeah, I think the dragon is a solid choice. If you want to gather yourself a horde, I mean, just break into some banks and what are they going to do? Stop you? Like, I guess it's possible that a dragon versus like an F-35 jet fighter is probably not going to work out great. But I bet I am convinced that like a police helicopter wouldn't stand a chance.
I feel like that was the premise of some really bad movie a while back.
Oh, like geez.
Mid-2000s.
No, you're thinking of Reign of Fire, which I don't remember being. I don't remember there being an actual dragon versus airplane fight scene in that. But if there was, that movie was better than I remember it being.
No, there wasn't. I just remember the guy with the axe. And I think that was from the trailers.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a bad movie.
I still saw it. I mean,
oh yeah, me too, in the theater.
Yeah,
that's because that's what you did back then. Like, you just went and saw whatever was there.
Yeah.
Bigfoot? You could be a Bigfoot.
I already show up blurry in photos anyways. I mean,
that's a superpower in and of itself. If you do not like how you show up in other people's photos, be a Yeti. You'll be blurry in all of them.
What about stuff like creatures with like weird powers like beholders or Medusa?
I mean, yeah, I'm allowing anything. So if you want Medusa or Mandusa, what's the
Medusa.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's lonely. Although I'm sure that like you could do teleconferencing has got to work out just fine. Like that doesn't count. Like if you can look at Medusa in a mirror and not get turned to stone, then totally a webcam's got to be fine.
Sure. Otherwise, you just have a booming sculpture business.
An excellent way to turn it into a little empire there. Although people aren't buying figural art anymore.
Not so much.
You have to be a modern art Medusa, which I think is a lot harder.
And I mean, you got to wait a few years before your stuff starts showing up in the Guggenheim, etc.
Exactly. Okay, so we're about at our time limit for a mini episode. Of the ones we've discussed, what do you come down on?
I think what I would come down on would probably be, I don't know, I got to go with Mimic. I think it's just it's just being anything, just not a person. I think that's amusing to me.
That's fine. That's a totally completely valid answer. I'm afraid I also have to come down on the weird one, which is Tanuki. I would be a giant nutsacked raccoon man. All right. Well, that's our mini episode for this week. If you're listening to this right now, hit us on Twitter at MonsterMPod. I want to hear what you would choose. And that's it. Signing off.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on this mini episode of Monster Mechanics. You may have noticed that our update schedule has changed slightly. We're still doing big episodes every other week, but in the off weeks, we're doing these little mini ones to fill in the gaps. You can reach us at MonsterMPod on Twitter or at monstermechanicspodcast@gmail.com if you prefer email for some reason. This episode was produced and edited by Scott Paladin and hosted by Scott Paladin and Zach Jaquays. All of the ideas generated are released under a Do What the Fuck You Want public license.